human capital, right? The extent to which a country is endowed with resources like land, labor, and capital, right? Now, that's why if you really analyze, you can see most of the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, they have similarities, and it proves that Heckscher-Ohlins theory is correct to a great extent. This was found in 1933. You can see how that emanates or that stems from mercantilism, 16th century, 1776, absolute advantage theory, 1817, David Ricardo's comparative advantage theory, and now 1933, Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So now if you take China, third biggest country in the world, what is the biggest country? Russia. Second biggest? Canada. Third, right? And then India, sixth biggest, Brazil, seventh or eighth, right? About 60 to 70% of the South American continent. South Africa also comparatively huge, right? So large countries, they have enough land, right? And then the population is also comparatively high, and so much of resources. So lots of similarities can be seen in BRICS related to Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So they say that if you have more natural resources or factor endowments, it's some kind of a blessing for international trade. So in Sri Lanka, it's not there actually. They are like not so fortunate. Right? The Heckscher-Ohlin theory predicts that countries will export goods that make intensive use of those factors, right? That are locally abundance of, so much of blessings, while importing goods that make intensive use of factors that are locally scarce. Even for New Zealand, it's a classic example. Even for Australia, they use their so much of labor. Now New Zealand is 4 times bigger than Sri Lanka, and they are on par with Japan, England, and Italy, New Zealand, almost same in size. But 4 million population, 4.2. So they have enough land. So they have devoted them for cattle and sheep and farming. They produce milk, cheese, butter, wool, linen, meat to the entire world, and then they export. And due to Greenpeace movement, they can't have factories, so they import only most wanted items back to New Zealand, like clothes and shoes and various other industrial products. Right? So again, China saying this theory has so much of relevance to modern day contemporary world international business, trade, and also has the common sense. If you have so much of resources, factor endowments, obviously you have the distinctive competencies. So common sense appeal is also there to a great extent. Classic example is China for factor endowments, even India. And then the next one is product life cycle theory. Do you know the product life cycle? Yes. Have you done? Yes. Okay. Now this is in 1966. Raymond Vernon came up with the theory, right? Product life cycle theory proposed by Raymond Vernon suggested that now products mature, both the location of sales and the optimal production location will change, affecting the flow of direction and trade. Now, it's like this. Now, Professor Fonseca would have done the behavior of the long-term cost curve. Can you remember? Yes or no? Yes. It is a combination of so many short-term cost curves where the lowest point of the short-term cost curve touches the long-term cost curve. Do you get the point? Right? And when the cost is coming down, companies gain economies of scale. Because cost of production is coming down. Machinery is new, productivity is high, efficiency is high, rejects are low, and so on. And then the second stage is neutral stage. Neither losing nor gaining, and then you face the diseconomies of scale, where machine is old, break breakages and work stoppages are high, labor productivity is high, or cost is going up, and this is the period when the cost is going up, multinationals look for other locations where they can again start and reduce their cost of production and other things in other locations. Did you get that point? Is that clear? You want me to explain that again? If you are physically here and mentally somewhere? Right? Normally when you take, I'll explain that. Normally when you take the long-term cost curve, right, behavior of the long-term cost curve is like this, which is a combination of so many short-term cost curves. And this part, cost is coming down, so you've enjoyed the economies of scale. In a while, I'll explain how it works. Right? And then, because machines are new, productivity is high, everything, and due to the volume, unit cost is coming down, which is good for the company. Then you stage, after about 6-7 years, you face the neutral stage, and then machines are old, breakdowns are there, maintenance are there, work stoppages are there, productivity is low, all this, and then companies face the diseconomies of scale where their cost is going up. For multinationals or companies involved in international trade cannot afford to increase their cost. So this is the period that they look for other locations. Example, if the plant is in Singapore, when the cost is going up, they look for places like India, China to shift their machinery, plant, everything to reduce the cost and start again from this stage. Life cycles change over a period of time. Some time back, ladies used to wear mini skirts, then the bell bottoms, then the pants, now again coming for mini skirts. Things evolve, change. Did you get the point? Remember this. Same way for business also. In banking, for about 5 years you have prime customers, you keep on lending, then they become your worst customers because the cycle changes. Did you get that? Right? Another example. So that's the time they change their country, location, and when they change their location, country, earlier if they were producing in Singapore and exporting them, so Singapore was having a better balance of payment. When they move to China, right, China will have more exports and exports in Singapore will come down. Why? Location of production has changed. Did you get the point? This is what, or this is one point Raymond Vernon emphasized in this product life cycle curve theory. Is that clear? Any questions? Second point what he made was very good and applicable for the modern day companies. He said, okay, the size of the market varies, everything varies when they change the location. He said, initially the product would be produced and sold in the US, but after some time later, when the demand grew in other developed countries, US firms would begin to export. And he said, over time, demand for new product would grow in other advanced countries, making it worthwhile for foreign producers to begin producing for their home markets as well. And he made a very startling point. He said, one country that is not here, I don't know. He said, you can have the concept conceived in US, but it doesn't mean that, yes, exactly, it doesn't mean that you have to produce that in America. You can produce that in countries like China or whatever, where labor cost is, production cost is low, and then again can be sold the same product in America. This is what exactly happening in international market.
This is exactly what this iPhone says, design in US, assembled in China.
Because if you take the multinationals, their concepts are in America, marketing strategies are designed in England, research is done in Dubai, production is done in India or China or Vietnam. For Boeing, what did we discuss yesterday? Reaping the benefits of globalization. Another shining example. Way back in '66, he said this. Did you get the point? Is there any question? Or are there any questions?
It can affect for the quality when you ship for somewhere department.
So they will come up with various mechanisms to maintain the required quality. So now, what Barack Obama was trying to know, when they shift production to China, right, Americans lose so much of jobs in America. This is the reality. So Barack Obama was trying to put import duty, impose import duty for the companies, American companies that have gone to China, producing and exporting them back to America. So that means, right, America is importing at the time of importing to put so much of, say, 100% import duty to discourage companies going to China and producing, so that these companies will stay in America. That could generate employment in America, which is good for the American economy.
Trump has introduced new.
Yes, he is going to do that because they have to do. That's one way to tackle Chinese market. And other, as a strategy, I am telling you, other one is to create certain labor issues in China. That's happening because America is very tricky. Whatever said and done, now they have nicely encircled China, right? In trade as well as in war. Even now Myanmar, the junta government was dead against America, but now they have given investments and other things. Even the Myanmar government is now in favor of America. So China has been encircled. Only issue is that recently this Philippine president went against America and started to support China. So they have lost that from this particular force or side. Otherwise, nicely encircled, and there can be some trading issues. I don't know what will Trump do, but I don't know, there can be certain issues. Because trade is a huge thing. Russia is doing the same thing. When winter approaches, they immediately stop supplying gas to whatever the country and increase the price and get. So these things happen. So huge issues are there, and this is how it works. Any questions? Now, I'll tell you another thing. Nike pays only $4, if I remember right, $4.95 per pair to produce. They supply raw material, everything, right? In Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand and Pakistan to produce a pair of Nike shoes. So the investors who have taken loans and put up factories and everything, they maintain 110% quality, and they have reduced. That's why they were paying even $1.80 per day for kids, because to reduce this this cost. And in America, they sell a pair of Nike shoes for $100. See the margin. Did you get the point? $95, that means 950% profit per pair. That's how they sponsor Cristiano Ronaldo and Tiger Woods and Lewis Hamilton and Jason Button and all these.
$495 is the total cost, or what they are paying only to the factory for production?
Factory for production.
But then the raw material cost is separate.
But that is, again, they must be getting from the same country or China for another penny, single penny. That's why they try to reduce, and for the country also good, because they again export whatever the market, just like our garments. Massive, these are massive operations, right? Running in billions and billions. Now recently I did a case study, I went through and discussed a case study for Levi's. The CEO, Chris Berg, he's completely re-engineering the company. He's even visiting Hong Kong showrooms and just like a mystery shopper and looking into it. The latest would be, they will come up with what we call the yoga denims for Indian market. Yoga denims.
Big market.
huge market. Because he has found by himself by being a mystery shopper. See the way CEO, I even wrote this in one of the articles, saying that our CEOs and our HR managers don't have even time to visit a branch to speak to staff members. Levi's CEO is going across the world as a mystery shopper, looking for real market listing and the quality and the other things to improve business. Alright, any questions?
Quality of production is not the same, no?
What is that?
Quality of production of the other countries.
No, they have to maintain. Now all these have been given, right, under entry modes I'll teach you, all these have been given either licensing, mainly licensing, not franchising, licensing, with very strict controls. They can't even turn without getting the approval of the multinational. One condition is that whatever the circumstances, this is what they are willing to pay. Second condition is that whatever they produce should be exported. They can't sell in the local market. Otherwise, the local market will be flooded with Nike Original for $30 in Indonesia. If they get caught, that is the end. Right? So like that, even franchisees, I'll tell you, McDonald's and Burger King and all these people, when they sign, they say that even if your employees leave the organization, they can't produce similar products in the market. You know, in Sri Lanka, one person can work for Chinese Dragon, they get the recipes, everything, then go and start another Chinese joint with a dim light and little bit of bamboos and all, right? But with multinationals, you can't do that. Very rigid agreements. I know when McDonald's started, I was in the bank that time, started by Peston family, Abbas. And they had the potential to open 4 more branches in Kandy, Wattala, Nugegoda. But McDonald's didn't approve until they reach a particular level and maintain standards, and so they were compelled to maintain this quality outlet for about 3-4 years to prove that they have the capability, and then only they gave the green light for them to expand. Very rich, because as I told you, their value of M alone is more than our Sri Lankan GDP. And also in Sri Lanka, most of the people still cook. But in Australia, New Zealand, England, they don't cook, so they go to KFC or whatever. So the demand is there. In every junction, you get McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, and so on. Subway, all that. But in Sri Lanka, it's a different culture. Any questions? What is your experience in UAE? You can just import Nike and branded products without duty. 5%. 5%.
Flat rate
For any product. But still they must be, but that has to be genuine, am I right?
I think tobacco and stuff, there is a different duty. Tobacco and stuff, there is a different duty. It's not 5%.
So that means like even here there is no free trade. Right, good. Right, now, economies of scale. Definition. Concept of economies of scale is that when companies continue to manufacture goods in mass scale, the unit cost of products will come down. I told you to remind me about the operations management concept yesterday. Can you remember? I remember. I think I am the oldest, but still it's like this. There are 4 types of production. First one is only one product, probably for the entire lifetime. Example, building an aircraft carrier. It takes about 11 years and would cost about $13 to $15 billion. If it is nuclear guided, probably $20 billion, right? And only one product for the entire lifespan. right? Is that clear? And second one is, or second type is, you produce batch by batch. Here the time factor, here the cost and the numbers. Batch by batch. You produce 1,000 units of a particular, say, okay, whatever guitars, we'll say box guitars as an example, simple example. You produce that, you get the raw material for that, produce that, sell that, and then you embark on the next batch of 1,000 guitars, or say maybe even 10,000. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. Then the third one is mass scale production. You produce in bulk. Example, garments, 1 million units per factory. If you have 10 factories, right, now biggest employ, Mars and Bendix are the biggest creators of employment next to the Sri Lankan security forces. Brandix has, I think, about 82,000 and Mars has about 92,000 employees. Right? Mass production. And then the fourth stage is the continuous production like paper and so on. So it goes like this. And economies of scale can be considered only from this point. Mass production and continuous production. For these two, it's not feasible, not so viable. Because when you increase the production in large scale or in bulk, only unit cost will come down. This is how you link operations management for international business and for the strategic purposes. One-time production, batch production, mass production, continuous production. Okay? Right. This happens. How does the unit cost come down? Ability to spread fixed costs over mass production, thereby reducing the unit cost. As an example, if you have a factory where fixed cost is 5 lakhs, right? Whether you produce 1 million units or 10 million units, fixed cost is 5 lakhs. Only the variable cost will change. Did you get the point? Second one, state-of-the-art technology. When the technology is good, sophisticated, modern, state-of-the-art, rejects are low. I'll give you examples for everything. Rejects are low, productivity is high, you reduce your cost substantially. Specialized employees, they contribute so much, add value so much to the business. And ability to obtain funding at low cost. Because multinationals or companies involved in this type of things negotiate with the bankers or people who provide funding to the last digit. I know as a relationship manager at my level, those days corporates multinationals used to negotiate even for 0.1%. LC commission, they used to say, okay, can't you just remove our LC commission? We'll give you, we need 500 million package. Accountants know the importance of reducing their cost structure. Right? Now, how does it work, these four? You can gain economies of scale under four scenarios. One is the financial economies of scale. Example, if you are doing business and if you buy raw material as an example, say 2 lorry loads of raw material to produce, when you increase your production in bulk, probably you have to import a shipload of raw material. Did you get the point? So when you import a shipload of raw material, you can even negotiate with the suppliers, and get the maximum financial benefits. As an example, you can negotiate with the bankers and reduce, I'll do that. Even you can enter into a forward exchange contract to reduce the exchange risk, and you gain. You can even negotiate with your bankers for a special package or import or trade finance package and reduce the cost. And also, when you are buying a shipload of material, for the supplier you are a prime customer, so you can even bargain for a longer credit period, which should strengthen your working capital requirements. As a result, you can adjust or manage your cash flows in a proper way.
Even the unit prices.
Yes, no, I'm just, how does it come down, I'm explaining. How do you reduce the unit cost? Right? So various ways. Now, if you take AMW in Sri Lanka, they sell at least 40 Suzuki Altos and R wagons per day. So they import sometimes shipload of Suzuki cars, which can be disposed within a week or 10 days. And they never take import loans. You know, these banks, they give loans to retire their bills. And what they do is they link with the leasing companies to dispose this. So they just unload from the ship, dispose by way of a lease, and they negotiate with all these banks, Agnata, Sampak, Ceylon, Commercial to the last letter, get the best, and their cost is very low. That contributes to reduce your cost from the financial perspective. Did you get the point? This is known as financial economies of scale. Any questions? Is that clear? Yes. Okay. Second one is managerial economies of scale. If the company is doing well, right, involved in mass production or continuous production, definitely company has the capability of recruiting the cream in the market because their financial strength is so sound. Now I'll tell you a very good example for this financial economies of scale. One particular multinational in Sri Lanka was approached, but I approached them actually as a relationship manager to get their business. And when I suggested certain things, they said, Trevor, we don't want working capital. I was surprised because I have also learned from the process, gone through the mill. So then I asked why. Then he explained the whole thing. They have 140 odd products. Right? And so much of demand for their products. So they have dealers in districts. Every other day, dealer comes with about 3-4 lorries to take their products. Right? And then they go and sell, and other day, after 2 days when they come back with their lorries, they have to settle the earlier bill. Then only they release goods. So running into millions, and their cash position, liquidity position is so sound. You don't believe they even sometimes say, okay, they give overnight money for banks to meet the central bank requirements in Sri Lanka.
It's for sure tobacco must be.
No.
Well,
Just think, 140 odd products. Right, so that is how they deal. Right, again, one example now, Sunlight is number one product. They have 6 or 7 billion categories, I told you. Right, Sunlight, Signal, Astra, Lifebuoy, Sunsilk,
We,
not Lux, Vim. Right, so, and they had a major marketing issue. They spent for a particular product about 100 million and they lost. So I asked, because I was doing some research for them when I was there. So I asked, okay, now how are you going to recover this? Then they said, no, it's a matter of increasing Sunlight by 10 cents. That's the demand for Sunlight in Sri Lanka. Whether you go up country or down south or whatever, every bend you take, the wall of that particular house is painted with Sunlight. So that's the financial stability, and that's how they gain financial economies of scales due to volumes. Then managerial, they recruit the best or the cream from the market. Now Microsoft, I don't know whether it's true or not, I got to know that Bill Gates has the best, or say 11 people, they say 11 creamy people, the best in the industry to take the company. So when you recruit top guys to your company, salaries are very high, but still they take the company not only to greater heights, but also they come up with various strategies to undermine or overtake or outperform the other competitors simultaneously. So in short, if you offer peanuts, you get monkeys. If you offer flesh, you get lions. Managerial economies of scale. Did you get the point? They do a lot, thinking and all. The strategies are meticulous. Even dialogue in Sri Lanka, to a certain extent. I know how it works and I know how it worked also. Definitely. They will even not hesitate to pay 1 million rupees per month. But you have to deliver. Right? So managerial economies of scale. This is little difficult to measure, but company performance and the way other competitors are doing and all that. Sometime back, about 2 years back, I got an consultancy assignment to come up with strategies to destroy a particular company. Group, 4 companies in the group. I didn't accept it. Then they said we will double it. I said no. Because there are tycoons. I'm telling my Sri Lankan experience, I have no idea about UAE. There are people like, say, if they want to destroy a particular group or a company, they say, okay, I want to give them a 2-year course, 3-year course. That means like they don't want to see this particular group after 3 years. That's their image. That's I told you, so competitive. Right? So think about these things, economies of scale. Then the third one is technical economies of scale. Technical economies of scale. I'll give you a very good example for this based on my experience. When I was a branch manager in '97, I just took over the branch. I was looking for some opportunities to increase profits. Suddenly, we had a customer, again garment factory owner. He gave a call around 8 o'clock at night and said, Trevor, I need 17 million rupees lease. So those days 17 million was big. So he was shocked and I asked certain questions. He said, no, I want to buy 2 embroidery machines. You know embroidery? That you keep the ring and stitch, cross stitch or whatever, something like that. So they were supplying embroidery work for Nike and various other leading companies, and their factory had about 350 girls, and he was telling, Trevor, the rejects are around 6%, very difficult, and paying EPF, ETF salaries and all that, water bill is huge because 350 girls and electricity over time so much we are losing. I want to introduce state-of-the-art technology. So then I spoke to head office and made arrangements, but I told them to contribute 10% as equity. We gave 90%. And one embroidery machine is at that time, from that wall to about here, fully automated. You get in Sri Lanka, Barudan and Tajima, they only import these. You get 200 needles and you need only 2 people. One to operate the computer with the color codes and all that. Exactly the buyer sends the email with the color codes and the design, everything. Other person to replace the cones, yes, yarn. And productivity is 99.9% perfect.
Rejections.
No rejects, yes, right, no EPF, ETF, nothing. Not only that, they have so much of excess capacity and they can even undertake subcontracts from other suppliers or other producers because to maximize the machine utilization. Technical economies of scale. Did you get the point? Investment is high, but the benefits and the rewards are enormous. So benefits and rewards easily outperform the initial cost or the capital investment.
350 employees.
No, so they have other duties. You can assign. That won't be an issue. And in every factory, when you say 350, at least 100 are on casual basis. So in garment industry, no issue to remove people if you have excess capacity, because when even if they are permanent, I can tell you another example. There was a factory in Sitavakapura, another leading factory. Have you heard about the Sitavakapura export processing zone in Avissavella? Yes. They had made a problem with this company. Staff turnover is over 50%. So we were assigned the task of doing this research to find out why and to come up with recommendations. When we found, or when we did the research, what we found was amazing. This company, that time, this was in 2012 or so, this company pays roughly, right, I'll give you some ballpark figures, 15,000 rupees per month for a duty operator. And they earn about another 5,000 rupees or so as overtime. And company provides breakfast and lunch. For breakfast they give idya, mula and some other this thing, or farm, kala and whatever, yes. And lunch, a reasonable pack. So all in all, their cost per day is something like 200 rupees for the whole thing. So for say 25 days, 200 into 25, 5,000 rupees. And total comes to 25,000 per month without EPF and ETF. Right? Without EPF and ETF. So what now? These garment factory girls, they consider their salary as only what they get. They don't understand giving breakfast and lunch, some cost is involved. That's their mentality. Even Mr. Diane Gomez found the same thing. Right? So what happens is, sometimes when they go home in the evening, it rains, so they wait, and then another factory girl from another, it's a huge processing zone, about 20,000, 30,000 girls, boys are working. So another girl comes with an umbrella, and they go under this thing. While going, they talk, where do you work? ABC company. How much do you get? I'm getting 21,000. Then she compares, I'm getting 20,000. Following day, they go and join that company. Did you get the point? They don't consider this breakfast money is also included in their package. Sometimes you don't believe, at that level they change their job for $500. So then we made certain recommendations not to include this, but to give them a good take-home package and for them to buy something from the canteen.
And the
And it
companies,
worked.
they don't provide that meals.
Yes. But still the company provides it as subsidized, because sometimes they say we'll go out and eat and come, there are so many issues. Time factor, all this. Yes. So these are the issues. So technology, technical economies of scale will improve so much of productivity, and then as a result you can improve your cost will come down, as a result you can improve your bottom line. Then the fourth one is economies of scale on research and development. Most of the companies hesitate to spend on research and development, saying that it's like, not worth. Even universities, sad to say, in Sri Lanka is moving away from research because they just want to give certificate. But research and development is so important for any country. I'll give you some examples. I think LG. LG was doing, now research and development is just like getting an insurance for your vehicle. As long as you don't face anything, you might think that in vain this insurance I am paying so much. Do you pay insurance then?
Yes.
Right? But normally it's against the religion, am I right, insurance? No, here. I know in Sri Lanka, some Muslim businessmen, they are very close to me. They never listen, they say, don't worry, this Almighty God will protect us. Inshallah, we are okay. Some have even Jackson or Jaguars, they never insure, but they are okay.
But without insurance.
No, third party they are, just to run, not the full insurance. You have to have a third party to run. Use the vehicle on the road. Right? So, anyway, it's a different story. So, it's like getting an insurance, because if something goes wrong only, you know the value of insurance because you can get the claim. So, likewise, research and development. Lots of people have different perceptions, but it's a must, because if you get something, you can have patent rights over all your competitors for about 10 or 20 years, and then that is your baby. You can increase your profits by 10, 15 folds. LG was spending so much of money on research and development. They, I think, came up with the dough pooling system. And as soon as they found, what they did was they went and registered this concept under the Intellectual Property Act. And then only they started to produce, blocking all other competitors like World, Akai, National, Samsung, Panasonic, all these Whirlpool, all these products of producers. So they have the distinctive competence due to research and development, and that is known as economies of scale on research and development. Because you have your baby for at least 10 years. Did you get the point? For your inventions. Right? When America reached the moon or conquered the moon, the project for that, the cost of project, right, for that project was Sri Lankan GDP at that time, 1969, into 20 times. Purely for research purposes. That's why companies should pay so much of attention for research, because if you can invent something, these days pharmaceutical companies are spending millions and millions of dollars to find some kind of a medicinal drug to cure HIV or sugar related issues or cancer or so on. If they can come up with a product, they can conquer the world. Did you get the point? The payback return would be enormous compared to the amount that they spend on research, but it's costly, I know. That's why the companies are even going for syndicated research. They get together and spend together with the intention of, and some strategic alliances are also formed only for research for that purpose. So 4 ways to gain economies of scale to reduce the cost: financial, managerial, technical, and research and development. Any questions? Is that clear? Okay, now we'll go to this. Now, new trade theory is based on economies of scale, going for bulk and standardized products. What do you mean by standardized products?
Same
What is the opposite of standardization? Customization. Simple example is, if you want to buy a shirt, you can go to Hamidia's, right, collar size 16, you just have whatever the color, pocket here, one style of shirts, you can just buy it. It's a standardized product. But if you want to get it customized, you have to buy the material, go to your tailor, get it stitched the way you want, keeping a pocket here, one sleeve here, other sleeve here, whatever way, right? Get it stitched the way you want. That's the customer. But customization needs so much of cost. Because you have to produce according to the customer needs. That's why multinationals do not go for customized products. They produce in one production line millions and millions of Samsung 7 or Apple 6 or whatever, right, to minimize the cost. So new trade theory is based on economies of scale. Right, emerged in 70s, especially with the Japanese technology. Two dimensions: to focus on economies of scale with the intention of providing goods at a lower cost. Because you can reduce your unit cost, which gives the absolute advantage for you. As a result, you can reduce the cost and dominate the market. And the other one is, remember, and most of these multinationals are in the oligopoly market structure. Have you done that? Perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly market structure, and monopoly market structure. What are the characteristics of an oligopoly market structure? Only few players, economies of scale, kinked demand curve, can you remember? And advanced technology, and they don't consider pricing P, but they focus on all other P's. Did you get the point? Can you remember? I hope Professor Fonseca would have done that definitely. Yes. Right? Oligopoly market structure. Even most of the multinationals. Right? Mobile producers, only few, less than 10 in the world. Right? To focus on required output to attain level of economies of scale, representing a significant portion of global demand. Samsung, Apple, Motorola, Ericsson, LG, few other companies. Pharmaceuticals, again, maximum 10 or 12. Right? Telecom giants, maximum 10. And first mover advantages. You have, if you move first, right? As the first mover, there are lots of advantages. Due to economies of scale, new entrants can be curtailed because you can reduce your cost, and new entrants will find it. I showed you Porter's 5-force model yesterday. New entrants can be blocked because they can't match your cost of production initially. Role role of the government becomes significant. You have to be in good books with the government because, as I told you, government intervention or the legal system, approvals and so on is a must. About 2 weeks back, we had our MBA orientation, on the 8th of, 1 month back, like 8th of December. So we invited a particular person for this good tycoon, and he was telling that like there were certain issues with regard to few finance companies. They are trying to take one finance company, and they said definitely government intervention is a must. That proves that in any country, right, government becomes so significant when it comes to multinationals or doing business or whatever. Some argue that it generates government intervention and strategic trade policy, yes, but still you, without their support, without their approval, you can't do business. Right, the last one, theory of national competitive advantage. This was introduced by Professor Porter, Michael Porter. He says that if you want to be having done 100 studies in 10 countries, taking 100 industries into consideration, he says he discovered 4 determinants or major attributes, 4 major attributes of competitive advantage of a nation. And you can apply this to Dubai or UAE as well, or Sri Lanka. Factor endowments. Country has to have factor endowments. But we know practically each and every country does not have so much of factor endowments. But still you should even try to improve it. As an example, entrepreneurship. Or sometimes ways to get the required capital, low cost capital, and all this. Then demand conditions. What is the demand? Right? Whether the products have a demand or whether you can even create demand. Related and supporting industries, there should be proper backward integration and forward integration and so on. Do you know the meaning of backward integration, forward integration? Any students? I can briefly explain. Have you heard about Suvarna Mahal in Sri Lanka?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Selling jewelry.
They are into gold business. Their core product is producing
And selling.
jewelry. Right? So, yesterday I told you Michael Porter's 5 force model. To assess the level of competition in the industry. So, if you take the jewelry industry in Sri Lanka, who are the competitors? Vogue Jewelers, Raja Jewelers, C Street, Ambika and all, Swarna Mahal, Mallika Hemachandra, Colombo Jewelers, and so on. Right? And then so many other people, small dealers in Hettivitia, C Street, are trying to get into the market. And there are lots of substitutes for gold, imitations and all this blah blah blah, right? Lots of shops there. And bargaining power of the supplier. Who supplies gold? People have to import. When you import, you have to pay duty, economic surcharge, VAT, and so many things. And people have the freedom to go to whatever the place, depending on their wallet size and genuinity and so many other things. So this is the level of competition. So Suvarna Mahal is here one of the competitors. But how now to produce jewelry, which is their core business, what is the raw material? Gold. How do they get gold? Through their EAPs, the Singaporean business. When all other competitors are importing gold biscuits and gold bars, they use their pawning business as the backward integration to get the required raw material. They don't have to pay VAT, right? Economic surcharge, no import duty. Whenever people don't have money, they go and pawn their articles. If they can't redeem them, they just melt them and take gold. And so their cost of production is significantly low compared to other competitors in the industry. Did you get the point? So they can easily eliminate one force. And because they have low cost of funds, they can even block the new entrants who are trying to get into the market. Did you get the point? And then they have their own, when they produce, they have their own network shops in Moratua, Nugegoda, Kolpiti, Vattala, Nigambu, Panadura, Swarna Mahal jewelers outlets to sell their products. They have strengthened their forward integration as well. So out of 5, they have got rid of 3 forces. So no competition, and they have excess liquid funds. As per BCG Matrix, Boston Consultancy Group, this gold business works for them as the cash cow, where industry growth is comparatively low compared to their market growth. See the way I link all these things strategically. And they use that excess money, cash cow. Cow is milking so much of milk, and they use that excess money for their conglomerate as other investments like for Swarnavahini and ETI and real estate and all these blah 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 blah. Did you get the point? I hope you are again learning, right? So when you have low cost and when you have strengthened your backward integration, forward integration, you can dominate. Okay? So related and supporting industries is a and firm strategy. I told you, strategy makes reality. I'll give you a statement, please remember this. I told you yesterday, leaders can make or break a country, or leaders, national politics and international business are inseparable. As a nation, we have to now, I told you as an individual, you have to have a vision. Did you think about a vision? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, don't take your vision, keep it yourself, it's a secret. Right? Don't even tell your husband or wife. Right? Because the culture is such that, so even as a nation, you have to have a proper vision. And I told you vision is some kind of okay, I'll put it this way. Do you see dreams? Yes or no? Yes, if you don't see dreams, something radically wrong with you. Right? And what type of dreams do you see? Horrible?
That is because of the market conditions these days.
What type of dreams do you see? Do you see some kind of a dream, say around 5 o'clock in the morning, you are signing a check for $250,000? Or do you see that as the CEO of a multinational that you are occupying the penthouse of a multi-story building?
Not yet.
Start seeing that type of vision can be defined as a dream, what you see in the awakening hours of your sleep. I can tell you a lot, I don't have much time. If I get a chance to do strategy, I'll completely change you. Right? Dream. So you have to have a vision. So as a nation also, country should have a vision. Unfortunately, as per my knowledge, Sri Lanka doesn't have a vision. They don't know even the meaning of vision. One fellow says one thing, another fellow says one thing, another fellow gets to know from the paper. So, no vision. Right? So, without a vision, taking action is a nightmare. And having a vision without taking action to achieve that vision is a daydream. Zawal Singh and Kamal. Did you get the point? Right? So remember this statement. Having a vision and without taking action is only a daydream. And without a vision, taking action here and there is a nightmare. You don't know where would you end up. So firm strategy, structure and rivalry at national level is a must. All countries like South Korea, America, Japan, even India, they have proper vision and proper strategies in force. Not 100%, it's impossible, at least up to 80%, 90%. Right? Is a must. Now see, UAE has a strategy, whatever it is, I know that. You can see the results. And they have a plan. Right? All this. So we'll take one by one. This is how you illustrate this graphically. Firm strategy, all are interlinked, integrated and very well connected. Right? Firm strategy, structure, rivalry, factor endowments, related and supporting industries and demand conditions. Basic factor endowments are factors present in a country, natural resources. I told you, we have the ocean across our island. Do we export salt? Do we get magnesium as a byproduct? We have fish. We import fish.
We are importing canned fish from
Canned fish and even other fish, except for prawns and all. Now, Japan being an island, they produce 12% of the fishing requirements in the world per year. 12%. Can't we get just 1%? Strengthening the backward integration. Provide trawlers, boats and deep sea fishing equipment and then create that industry. Required whatever the storing facilities and cooling, whatever, cold rooms. You can do wonders. Just go and dump few CTB buses, old train coaches here and there, right, around Sri Lanka, and fish will come and lay eggs and the fish population would be, would go up like nothing. Now see, Indians come and get from the sand, it's all these, what do you call the aquatic resources. Can do a lot, but this thinking power is not there. So much we can do, right? Natural resources. We have golden beaches. Still not even like 20% is utilized. So many waterfalls. We can even export water. Do you agree? So much can be done. This is what Michael Porter says. Even Porter doesn't say we have our common sense. Yes? Right? Climate. Sri Lanka is the only country that has all 7 climatic conditions in the world. Nuwara 1, Kandy 1, Colombo 1, Tissa Maharama Hambantota 1, Mana 1, Jaffna 1, Trincomalee another one, hot wells, everything. Do we advertise? Now I have visited 21 countries. I have never seen our Darada Maligawa in some other country, at least in a hoarding. Sigiri I have never seen. Have you seen? Why can't we do this? Do that? Have you ever seen an advertisement in the TV? Dialogue TV or TLC or whatever? They show these Kuruvitas making sambol and Idiap and all that. That's all. What Kuruvita? I can't remember his name. Peter Kuruvita. Peter Kuruvita. Why can't they? So they don't have any strategy. They just come and what? Sorry to say, I don't want to mention these names. These people, I don't know, these lawyers know nothing. And also you have to introduce people without having the tunnel vision. These are some of the things, right? Geographical location. Sri Lanka is located in a strategic sea route. Are we using, we don't have a single ship. Shipping corporation is there. Just imagine, I mean, as a professional, I am not criticizing, but when you see these things, right, our harbour is underutilized. I'll tell you a classic example. Now, this ports authority, I respect Arjun as a cricketer, but not as a politician. Honestly. Because he knows nothing. Right? But this was done before that. In 2013, 12-13, I did a research with another person who was involved in shipping logistics. And now our this thing is to make Colombo port as the hub of Asia. That's the vision for Colombo port. But still it doesn't happen. Lots of delays, container missings, and all these issues are there. And then to see, I found when I was doing the research, one fellow has mentioned that one printer was broken for 4-5 days and they didn't issue a single letter for 4 days, right, accumulating the whatever the load of shipments and other things because that printer was not working. Just imagine, how can you transform this Colombo port to a hub? True story, I am telling you. If you want, you see Sujan Malevana's research, supervised by Dr. Trevor Menzies. So simple things. So complete, we don't have any strategy. We are just moving. Whether that government or this government, same. That's why yesterday I said that based on Plato's leadership theory, we don't have leaders. Right? Geographical location. Then demographics, we have people. And while basic factors can provide an initial advantage, they must be supported by advanced factors to maintain success. Example, technology. Right? Technology is a must. But I don't know whether, but generally IT-wise, our country is much better. That is not due to the government intervention, but due to the private companies and individuals. Right? Advanced factor endowments are the result of investment by people, companies, government, and are more likely to lead to competitive advantage. Now, investment should be there, or if the saving rate is there only, if the savings are there only, investments would be high. For economics, you would have done macroeconomics, fiscal policies, and monetary policies. So when the cost of living is high, inflation is high, savings will come down, so opportunities for investments are low unless foreigners will come and invest in Sri Lanka. If a country has no basic factors, it must invest in, now see, UAE doesn't have water, but see the number of waterfalls and other things. How are they doing that? They must be converting seawater into the sea. Things can be done. You have to challenge your limitations. This is what Usain Bolt did. This is what Carl Lewis did. They started running 100 meters first within 10 seconds. Then it became 9.9, 9.8. Now today Usain Bolt runs at, I think, at 8.9. Am I right now? 9.3 or whatever. Challenge your limitations. If you can do 2 MBAs simultaneously, challenge your limitations. Or if you are getting 70 marks, if you want to get 80, challenge your limitations and go up. You know how I did my PhD? With all this work. When my family watches these various programs, right, Scandal and Lost and, I don't know whether you have these programs in Dialogue TV, Scandal and Lost and Back to the Rafters, all that, about 1.5 hours. I used to take that time, go to my office room and kept on looking for literature and all that, assessment, everything, virtually on daily basis, at least 4 days per week, over a period of 3 years. But at the same time, I never missed a single test match or one day or whatever, that is my this thing. And otherwise, Otherwise, if I just wait, at this age, I started at the age of 45, doing my PhD, 44, and then finished around 47. So if I just stayed without, now my kids are big and all that, no need to this thing. Challenge your limit. Even country has to challenge. Now say Dubai is challenging their limitations. Saudi is challenging, Oman is challenging. Why can't Sri Lanka? Advanced factors, look for advanced factors. Communications, these are examples, communication. Skilled labor, what do you think about skilled labor? Do you have skilled labor here or unskilled labor? Or both? Both, yes. That is good, but generally you have to have a mixture of both. But some people say that skilled labor is much better. Because when you say skilled labor, the skill to get the things done also coming under skilled labor. Otherwise, very difficult to sometimes manage these unskilled workers. It's another issue. And then research, I told you, right, while showing economies of scale, research and development is a must. We have to come up with a system where for new innovators and inventions, we should even pay 10 million for that person. And also some kind of a subject to the Sri Lankan education system about creativity and innovation. And every university should introduce research. These are some of the basic things that they can do. Genuine research. Technology. Education. This is what I told you. Knowledge is important. And Michael Porter further says the second one, demand conditions. Whether your products have a global demand, creates capabilities. I told you demand creation. You have to create. Create sophisticated and demanding consumers. We need this. You have to drive the market. You have to drive the market. Demand impacts quality and innovation. Related and supporting industries. Clusters of, I told you, for any multinational, the starting point is the cottage industry. And the second is the SME, but we don't have both. So how can you have this? Now see, whatever I say, some connectivity is there, right? So without this, now if you take Japan, right? I would like to visit Toyota company, right? I have never visited, but I know how it works. All these parts are supplied by small suppliers, and they are into the SME or cottage industry. What they say is, we need 110% quality and timely delivery because the just-in-time is so, that's there. They have to deliver that to the Kanban belt. So that's there. Other than that, no issue. 110% quality, timely delivery. If you take Starbucks, they say we are not bothered about the cost. We want 110% quality for your coffee and timely delivery. I told you 1 million coffee cups at any given moment, right across the world. So supply chain management has to be perfect. If they delay one shipment or 2 days, they are losing how many cups? Did you get the point? All related industries should be there to gain the national competitive advantage. Small in size, big in quality. Most of the top winter jackets sold in Helsinki and Copenhagen and Oslo and all other places, Stockholm, are stitched in Bangladesh in cottage industry. They import wool and linen from Australia, New Zealand, do the handwork or stitch, 110% quality, put a nice tag and export them to those upmarkets, small in size but big in quality. Real life examples. Must also meet requirements of other parts of the diamond, right? Strategy and so on. This is known as the diamond model, right? Porter's diamond model. Fourth one, Firm strategy, structure and rivalry. Long-term corporate vision is a determinant of success. This is what I told you. We have to have a vision. Right? Sri Lanka, where Sri Lanka would be like to, or say whatever, by 2025. Where do we want to be? Right? Corporate vision. Management ideology and structure of the firm can either help or hurt you, will improve or destroy you. Presence of domestic rivalry improves. Now, recently we have played cricket, right? I was a cricketer as well. We have played cricket with Sumati Pada. He was a little senior to me, but they were with Arjun and Aravind and all. We were like 1 year junior, but under 15 and under 17. My first year under 15, Aravinda, Arjuna, Sumati Pada, they played as their final under 15 year. Then again under 17. So, recently, I didn't meet Sumati Pada, but in one of the forums, I know few people, I said, why don't you create competition among the Sri Lankan cricketers? This present payment structure, a similar thing I suggested long ago at a discussion at FM TV, radio station. Then Shaq, have you heard about Shaq? You said Shaq. He said, Trevor, no, we should not take salaries into consideration. I said, no, performance-oriented culture has to be. Now, this is what's happening in India. Even now, if Murali Vijay or Pujara is not assured about the place except for Virat Kohli and Ashwin, all others are vulnerable. They have to perform. So creating competition among the team is the best way to achieve whatever the best ranking in tests and one days and T20s. So likewise, creating competition among the local companies is the best way to approach the global market. Did you get the point? Now, earlier in my university, there are Wales, where I worked. We used to create competition in the final year for BSc students in such a way that to improve the standard, ultimately the gold medalist is determined sometimes between 0.2 or whatever. Highest is 76 point, there the rating system is different. Highest is 76.2 and the second is 76.4 sometimes. Stiff competition, so sometimes we give 2 gold medals. So creating competition is the best way to reach the global market, but it doesn't happen in Sri Lanka, especially among the local companies. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Would you like to have a small break?
Yes, please.
Can you meet? Okay. We'll start at 6:50, last time. Okay, shall I start? Political economy of international trade. These are some of the objectives. Instruments in trade policy. How do you curtail imports? Or when you have a negative balance of payment, how do you manage these things? Tariffs and non-tariff barriers, right? Duties. Protectionism, policies. Government interventions, political, economic and strategic intervention in international trade. Right. Just the opening case, some burning issues. GSP Plus. Now government has assured that GSP Plus would be awarded to Sri Lanka sometime in March. You know what happened about this GSP Plus? Any idea? No.
It is, we have to.
Yeah, if you take the garment industry, up to 2004 December 31st,
Doctor,
there was a agreement called multi-fiber agreement. MFA.
Dr. is your mic on?
Yes.
I think it's dead.
Multi.
The battery is not.
Right.
It's okay, no problem. Just only one.
Multi-fiber agreement. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Multi-fiber agreement. So under which, right, each country was given some kind of a quota. Have you heard about this quota system? Some kind of a quota where countries were given and then that quota was distributed among the garment factories to produce and export. Right? So with China opening their floodgates, economic policies and various other changes introduced by WTO, World Trade Organization, and various other recognized bodies, multi-fiber agreement, right now under multi-fiber agreement, certain quota was assured to countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Vietnam and so on. Right, as an example, say 100 million units per year, as an example, it's much more than that. But multi-fiber agreement was cancelled on the 31st of December 2004, and then from 1st of January 2005, all the factories across the world, say garment factories, including Sri Lanka, had to compete in the open market, get the orders, execute them and export them back. Did you get the point? Right? So the competition was going to be very stiff because all our say Brandix, MS, Hydramani, Balm and all these companies who are doing business garments, producing garments, had to compete in the open market, get the orders and then execute. So still, and when this was about to expire, 26th of December 2004, what happened? Tsunami took place. Right? So having seen the destruction and the catastrophe due to tsunami, World Trade Organization and some of the European Union members like England, France, Germany were sympathetic towards countries like Sri Lanka, and they said, okay, due to this tsunami and with the expiry of the multi-fiber agreement, you guys have to compete in the open market, which is difficult, we know. Therefore, we will allow you to export, we will give you orders and allow you to export your garments to Europe without duty from that end. And they granted this facility to Sri Lanka under GSP plus, General Specified Preferential Plus. Normally GSP scheme was there, this was named as GSP plus. General, S stands for specialized or specified, I'm not sure about that. Preferential. Under this, 700, if I remember right, 728 6 items, including bicycles, bicycle tubes, various things, flowers, horticulture related products, all were allowed to export to Europe without duty. That means, now when we export, if England imposes import duty for our garments, the cost of, right, this is how it works. Say we export shirts to England to Marks and Spencer, right? Say we export at $10 per shirt from Sri Lanka. Then the importer Marks and Spencer in England should also get at least at the same price $10 per, because what we export, what they get, the price. And but if the British government imposes import duty for our exports, and if they say okay 100% import duty for Sri Lankan exports, the cost of importation would become $20 per shirt for Marks and Spencer. Did you get the point? Why Marks and Spencer has to pay import duty for our exports from that end? So then even if they keep say 20% markup, it would become $24 per shirt in their stores. So if another exporter exports, and if British government doesn't impose import duty for those shirts, they can sell with 20% margin at $12 per shirt in that store. Whereas there won't be any demand for our shirts because of the import duty factor. Did you get the point? Is that clear?
Yes.
So this was allowed under GSP Plus to export whatever without duty for Sri Lankan garments and 726 products. This was a huge relief for the government, and we continued till 2009. Right? So just after the war, there were so many unethical, now this was a grant. It's like we sometimes become sympathetic over our neighbor because if they are starving or whatever, we give some food for them. Did you get the point? Something like that, honestly. So, and then after the war in 2009, due to white van and human rights violations and various issues, blah, 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 and ignore it. Now, this is another example. Success is the biggest enemy. Remember this sentence. In strategic management, I always advise people, companies, success is the biggest enemy. When you perform well, when you score a century, you should not get sullen. You should think that I didn't perform in the last match. If you think that, okay, I hammered 100 and taught a lesson, next match, clean gold, 0. Same thing, right? Remember these things, success is the big. I'll tell you a very good example, what happened to dialogue in Sri Lanka. Shining example to prove my statement, success was the biggest enemy for dialogue. When they were making profits of 7 billion, they went for a massive share issue. They bought loss-making CDMA phones. They bought Dialog TV, loss-making. They bought another company, I can't remember. Then Airtel got into the market with a huge stir. They got scared. They reduced their prices by 30% and immediately the next year they made 4 billion loss. From 7 billion profit to 4 billion loss, incurring a loss of 11 billion. Success is the biggest enemy. That's why some even argued that though Dr. Hans Vijayasuriya has the technical competencies, he doesn't have strategic competencies. Did you get the point? This is how it works from the strategic perspective. So, this. And then due to weight, so we thought that after winning the war, we can do anything under the sun and the moon, which is wrong. Did you get the point? Right? So we thought that we can teach a lesson to the Western world, we never listened to them. And as a result, they were giving certain warning signals, right? And they were pressurizing from UN this thing, and when Navi Pillai came to Sri Lanka, some were proposing for her to get married. I mean, nonsense. You all know what happened? No? Mervyn Silla proposed? Yes. Who is Mervyn Silla? I don't want to comment or whatever is my opinion. I mean, that type of people ruined actually. Right? Navi Pillai is Miss Navi Pillai, but Oxford educated lawyer and UN advisor. How can you just make a proposal? I mean, that shows their caliber. So various things. And then they gave so many, and Kuchin and Miliband visited, they were taken to Ambilipiti and had a discussion. British Foreign Secretary and French Foreign Secretary. I mean, because we won the war, okay, but still you can't dictate terms to the world. Sri Lanka is a tiny country without any resources. So that shows the caliber of these people. So, and then they gave certain warnings, and then even another person, educated person, said if they remove GSP Plus, we will take legal action. Can you do that? If we don't give something to the neighbor who is starving, can he take legal action against me? I mean, common sense, right? So, they removed GSP Plus. Now they are renegotiating to get GSP Plus, because without duty, if we can export goods to England and European Union, it's a very good boom for our international business, and to reduce the negative BOP at least to a certain extent. So this is how it works, and GSP is a major expectation for the government. Did you get the point? So success is the biggest enemy, that's my message. We might perform well, but we should not get soul-headed for our achievements. We have to be very humble, and we can't dictate terms to the world like Pinocchio. Potato farmers in Sri Lanka urge the government to impose duty to protect the local farmer. We can import potatoes from India for whatever, 50 rupees per kilo. But our cost is around 75 or so. That's why a kilo of potatoes are around 85 rupees in the market. So if we start importing potatoes from India, Pakistan, our potato farmers will commit suicide. So they urge to import, but they don't do anything. Our farmers are also at fault, I'm telling you. They expect fertilizer subsidy, everything free, and then also they expect the government to impose import duty to protect their industry. They don't do anything to improve productivity and reduce the cost. Did you get the point? One intention of providing subsidy to any industry is to improve productivity, reduce cost of production, and to improve their standard according to global standards, so that when they remove or when they don't get subsidy, they can compete in the global market openly. But there's no scheme in Sri Lanka, pathetic to say, to improve productivity, yield and so on of the farmers, and they keep on continuing providing subsidy. So if they don't provide subsidy, they take action. They come to Colombo in loin clothes, no? What do you call that? Yes. I mean, it's a joke. These people are also playing hell, these people are also playing hell for me. There should be some mechanism to improve and reduce stage by stage. Educating the farmers, and now you all know how it works. Right? So, this is another burning issue. Trade agreements with India, EDCA, will destroy the local industry, even DSI. Because personally I feel, I also put all these things in my report. Now, can a school team play a test match against Australia? Just answer my simple question. Yes or no? No. Can Sri Lanka play, or say, can Sri Lanka sign EDCA with a giant like India, one of the BRICS? No. So recently, about 2 years back, India signed a similar pact with South Korea. That is okay because they are in the same league. Did you get the point? So it's like tiny country signed, trying. And also remember, when I went through the EDCA agreement, the very first clause that India imposed is Sri Lanka cannot export their tea, rubber and garments to India. Why? Tricky, isn't it? If they request us to open our market for their products and their labor, we should also have the equal opportunity to go there. The very first clause says that we can't export our garments, tea and rubber to India. I questioned about this. So they are very tricky, because when I was in India to get my second international award in last February, I had a chat with so many people. I told you that about CSR and all I discussed. And most of the people used to say, Narendra Modi means business. Because he was the Gujarati chief minister earlier. He's a master businessman, entrepreneur. That's why he got down this IMF advisor as their central bank governor, Reserve Bank governor. Modi means business. You know how they attacked these Pakistani forces, the surgical attack after attacking Kashmir and killing 27 Indians. He slowly went, and that's known as a surgical attack, and came back, that's all. And he addressed the Lok Sabha, entire Lok Sabha approved it, including the opposition.
And
So-
even his most recent trick about taking that currency notes and
Yes, 500, yes. Very now, most of the people oppose, but he did it. Modi means business, this is what they said. So all that. So I don't agree that that's why I said we have to first improve our productivity, yield, technical aspects, everything, and then sign the agreement. But I don't know, government is also under pressure, and I don't know what will happen. So it's another burning issue. So these are some of the aspects that I selected for you to get an idea about how these things happen. And another example for this is, okay, tariffs. Tariffs are duties, right? I told you duties can be produced or can be termed in different jargons like cess or economic surcharge or VAT or import duty, various things, not the terminology that matters, but the concept. So tariffs are the oldest form of trade policy. They fall into two categories. Specific tariffs as levied as a fixed charge for each unit. If you are importing a Toyota car, whatever import duty 300%, VAT 15% on that, blah blah blah, specific amount. Is that clear? And other one is, it's a French name, I think, French or Latin name, ad valorem. Tariffs are levied as a proportion to the value of the imported goods, right? Example, BMW is a luxury car, so on pro rata basis they have to pay a bigger tax, and Maruti, it's a small car, so they have to pay a small amount, right? Or $5 per barrel of oil or whatever. Proportionately they have to pay, right? That is known as ad valorem. So specific taxes and proportionate taxes or pro rata basis. Two types. Tariffs are good for government because government's one of the key income sources are tariffs, duty. In Sri Lanka there are two types of income sources. One is tariffs, that is import duty and so on. Other one is the taxes, pay taxes, income taxes, corporate taxes, VAT and stamp duty and various other types of taxes. Is that clear? Duty is also tax, but this is into international trade, other one is locally. But in other countries there are lots of other taxes like capital gains. Even Sri Lanka we have capital gains, but those are like very small amounts. There are different types of taxes, but mainly it's good for the government because that is one of their key income sources. And tariffs protect the domestic producers, right? Because as I told you, whenever farmers cry or protest, government will impose import duty to protect the local farmer, protect the local industry. So it is always pro-domestic market or pro-local farmer. Is that clear? But it reduces efficiency. Farmers know very well whatever we say, they will protect us. So they don't pay any attention to improve their yield or productivity or whatever. I'm pretty sure even in another 5 years time, still people will go to the paddy field while singing Goyam Kavi or whatever, will reap the harvest. Same Sindhu. Did you get the point? We have to introduce whatever, new technology. What is that?
Technology has changed now, people are not using hand.
Whatever, yes, but still the same yield. That's my point. In Gannur, they don't use whatever the research to improve the yield or to find proper mother seeds that would give a better yield. All these things should be done.
But don't you think that this small level, the farmers, they can't afford to improve those?
Yeah, so that's why I say government strategic intervention is a must. Educate them and whatever, and have some committees or whatever, or get it done through Govijana Seva or whatever, where now, even for exports, export management companies are a must. And also having this export credit insurance to encourage exporters is a must. These things do not, so this is how the government can intervene and introduce certain things. I'll tell you a classic example. When I was in the bank, we had this Gamipupudua scheme, have you heard about that at national? Where we gave, now when Premadasa became the president, he had requested all the banks to give something or contribute to the development of the rural economy. All banks, what they did was they donated 25 million, 50 million to the government and washed their hands. Mr. Riensi Vijaytilaka came forward and introduced Gamipupudua scheme to develop the rural sector with that scheme where people were producing soft toys and growing roses and producing lampshades and all that, and we were giving 10,000, 15,000 small loans. I had 437 loans like that in my branch with a special Gamipupudu Upadeshaka. Right? So then we found that they sell some of very good products, soft toys and all, excellent, but they don't have a market. When they go and try to sell them, they say Badudala and Masahakin Salidena. So they didn't have market. So what we did was we voiced our opinion and we used to organize Aurudu Pola, Naptal Pola and all for them to, at a particular location in the area, for them to come and sell their products, and then one thing, little bit of awareness, second thing, they can strengthen their cash flows and all other things. So likewise, government should send exporters to international trade exhibitions to get to know the buyers, to see the quality, their expectation. This is what they should do. All other countries are doing. Singapore is sponsoring, German chancellor is sponsoring exporters. All these things should be done. A lot, right? So producers, but farmers do not do anything, and also no one will educate them, so it reduces efficiency. Then tariffs are bad for consumers because we have the ability to buy a kilo of rice for 26 rupees from India, but we are buying at 80 rupees from the supermarket. Did you get the point? So anti-consumer, like tariffs are anti-consumer, pro-producer. Is that clear? Right. Now I'll tell you another different scenario to this. Assume that farmers reap their harvest in March, right? In March, and when they reap their harvest, say that okay, before March, government because the demand in the market is high and the supply of rice is low in January, February, so government will allow certain people to import rice, and they maintain the rice equilibrium, say at 60 rupees per kilo as an example. When the farmers reap their harvest in March, the supply in the local market would be high. Do you agree? Right? As a result, if they keep on importing rice with this supply going up, probably rice prices will come down to about 40 rupees. Then government will intervene and stop the importation of rice, and as a result, right, importation of rice will come down and we have enough supply here, and as a result our local farmers will be in a position to sell their rice around 60 or 65 rupees per kilo in the local market. This is how government uses protectionism policies to protect the local farmer when they reap the harvest. Is that clear? Any questions? Another scenario, assume that government is going to have general elections in April. So then they will analyze, now this is how it happens really, right? What is the farmer community in Sri Lanka? Maximum 5 lakhs. Only in Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Kristamarama, Amparati, Purnagala, few areas. Do you agree? What's the total population? 21 million, at least people who can vote, say out of 14 million, say 13.5 million. So government will see whether it's better to satisfy 5 lakhs and lose the elections, or satisfy 13.5 million and win the elections and prolong their whatever for the next 5 years. Did you get the point? So as a result, then they will not bother about the local farmer whether they are reaping the harvest or not. they will allow importers to continue their importation and maintain the price of rice around 50 rupees per kilo in the local market. So farmers will commit suicide or do protest, they are not bothered, but normal consumer like us will have the ability to buy rice at 50 rupees per kilo, and we will vote for the government and they will win. This is how they use protectionism the other way. Did you get the point? Is that clear? So this is common for any country. Even in America, just before the elections, as I told you, they impose import duty to protect the local steel producer. So government can manipulate these protectionism policies depending on the situation, but generally what they say is you have to have a proper national policy, proper national trade policy, and act accordingly. But in Asian countries like Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Pakistan, it doesn't happen practically. Any questions? Okay. Tariffs are unambiguously pro-producer, as I told you, and anti-consumer. Tariffs impose a significant cost on domestic consumer. Sometimes, now, as an example, another good example, we can easily buy a Toyota Corolla brand new car in Sri Lanka for about 2.2 million, which is the LC value. But how much is the cost? About 8 million, 9 million. Why? The balance 6 million is tax. Now here, how much do you pay? Do you pay taxes, import duty? No. How much is a Toyota car brand new? Huh?
2.4 million?
Yeah, 2.4, that's the price, 2.2, 2.4 without duty. Only the LC value, invoice value. But in Sri Lanka it's about 8 million, the balance 6 million. So that 6 million is the income for the government. Not only that, by imposing import duty, the government saves so much of foreign exchange because we are hunting for foreign exchange. Did you get the point? But in countries like New Zealand, Australia, their foreign exchange reserves are very high because their exports are enormous, huge, and you don't have to do anything, no duty, nothing. You can just go to the bank and say, hey, can you remit this $1 million to so and so in Australia? They will just do it as, just across the counter or over the counter. No, here we have to go to central bank, fill the e-forms and ask 101 questions, provide documentary evidence. So these are some of the repercussions of having a sound foreign exchange policy and very poor foreign exchange policy. No opposition. Right? Any questions about that? Okay. Then import tariffs reduce overall efficiency, as I told you, right? Because supplier knows or the producer knows that government will protect it. Because protective tariffs encourage domestic firms to produce products at home, but practically such products can be produced at a lower cost abroad. And then government sometimes pays to a domestic producer subsidies, and subsidies are normally produced to encourage supply, to encourage producer, and for the producer to be competitive in the global market and to improve quality and to reduce his or her cost of production for various purposes. Okay? It's like you are studying for your MBA, right? You hesitate, 34,000 dirhams I have to pay, all this, all that. And then your mother or father says, okay, I'll give you 50%. You do it, don't worry, get this MBA. Provide subsidy. Did you get the point? Something like that. But that would encourage you to do a good MBA. Same scenario applies even for the farmer or the local industry. But the government can give the subsidy in different forms. Can give as a straight cash grant, which happens very rarely because they will use that money for some other purpose. Right? Cash grant. Or sometimes through the banking system, they might provide low interest loans for agriculture. If the commercial rate is 17%, for agriculture they might give something like say 10%, 11% or whatever. It's another example. Or sometimes they might say tax breaks. Exporters who export whatever, more than 10 million per year, dollars, right, will not be liable for taxes or corporate taxes, something like that. Different forms, right? Or sometimes government might even participate. If the business is huge, they might say, okay, PPP, have you heard about this? Private public partnerships. In PPP collaborations, private company might put 60%, government might contribute from the equity participation 40%. Right? So different ways of providing subsidy, but whatever it is, over a period of time, the producer or the industry should reach the global level, otherwise the purpose is lost. But unfortunately in Sri Lanka, it doesn't happen. They expect the fertilizer subsidy, even for Yala and Maha and for everything. And other people, fisheries, say fishermen expect the diesel subsidy, and all these are expecting. So government expenses are going up, in addition to having about 12 or 14 prodigal sons in the government. Who are the prodigal sons for the government? Do you know the meaning of prodigal sons? Nastikara putra. Who don't do a job. It's like say, okay, parents are there, father is only earning, mother is a housewife. This couple has 12 or 14 sons who are big made, well built, but don't do a job, always depend on the father's salary. What are these companies? Government sector, electricity board making huge losses, Sri Lankan making huge losses, CTB, railway, Ceylon Petroleum. All these are prodigal sons depending on the government treasury. Massive. That's very difficult. Right? So, different forms of subsidies. Any question, my dear friends?
So it's fertilizer subsidies and all that also, like material?
Yes, material supply. Yes, material supply. That can be even considered as cash because government pays to the importer of fertilizer, then that is distributed through Gobijana Seva and farm communities and various things. Any other questions? Did you get the concept, idea, how it works? Okay. Then subsidy revenues are generated from taxes. To give subsidy, government has to have some income. So again, such money is generated through imports and taxes and paying taxes and all that. We have to have money to give something to your next door neighbor. If we don't have money, we can't give that. So it's like a circle, right? So they generate funds from import duty and taxes, pay taxes, VAT, and that is given like summa money to manage those 12 prodigal companies and the subsidies and other things. And on top of that, government has to, at the moment, government has to pay 90% of their GDP for overseas debt, which was taken to construct comparatively unproductive Mattala and Hambantota and various other projects without any assistance. So these are some of the burning issues that government is facing at the moment, massive issues. Subsidies encourage overproduction, inefficiency and reduce trade. Providing subsidy will increase supply in the local market because cost of production will be low as well as the supply would be motivated. So the supply in the local market will be improved. Motivates the supplier. These are some of the fundamentals in economics. International competitiveness is created. This is provided if the locally produced products are globally competitive. If not, this is wrong. Right? Now, as an example, during this is Sirima Bandanayaka's time, 70 to 77, we produced lots of local stuff, even material and agricultural products, but we couldn't sell them in the world market because our products were inferior. Right? So it has to be globally competitive, good quality, 100% and so on. Mainly subsidies are given for agriculture. right? Industrial, etc., right? Agriculture, farmers, potato, paddy, and so on, and then industrialists, especially, right? As an example, steel producers or whatever. Now they are starting a Volkswagen factory in Kuliapitiya. Construction has already started. Volkswagen has invested for a production process in Kuliapitiya.
They have denied.
What's that?
Volkswagen has denied that they are
There is
doing.
Denied?
some company, not Volkswagen.
That is some garage.
That is like
It seems to me-
assembly plant.
Because when I was leaving, that was the hot news in Sri Lankan papers.
Yeah.
That's a guy.
But
It is
like-
not Volkswagen, that is
Not
some
Volkswagen. Western automobile.
Western automobile company, sir.
Oh, right, okay.
Even not Volkswagen, it's something from Colombo.
Thank you for that
Sekoda.
information. Because Volkswagen had a major
Problem.
environmental issue about, say, 6 months back.
Yes.
And they scaled down their operations. Yeah, that's right. Company mission. Oh, right, okay.
Western Auto.
Western Auto is what?
That is something, a new company.
Vehicle as
Agent.
Is it a foreign company or
It's a
a
local.
Local company.
There must be one of their, somebody known to the government would have started this, I don't know. Okay. Instruments of trade, I think they went and, okay, so they said folks, I saw the pictures also on 2nd or 3rd of January, that they are digging or whatever, laying the foundation stone and all that.
Even the
Company
parliament,
is,
it was,
local company.
in the parliament also, the prime minister was saying that it was Volkswagen.
Yeah,
Prime Minister himself said that.
Yeah.
here, he's also like.
He himself said that today, yesterday only, that it is not Volkswagen.
He made a statement, it's not Volkswagen.
He made a statement.
Yes, Ranil Wickremesinghe made it. Yeah.
I think he says one thing, Malik Samaravikrama says another thing, Sagar says another thing.
The funny thing is, he asked who said that Volkswagen is coming to Sri Lanka.
So he himself said that.
That's what they don't know what that means now.
In one of the election meetings also he said.
He said, yes.
Okay, right. Other instruments. Second one is, now first one is subsidy, second one is quotas. Now remember in certain books, they say quota, the word, right? In certain company, certain books they say quantum restrictions. Right? So, different terminology. Restriction on the quantity of some goods imported to a country, right? You have the ability to import so much, but you are allowed to import only X percentage of this, right? Normally this is done by using import licenses to an individual firm or group of people for some selected firms. Example, USA has imposed a quota system on cheese. In Sri Lanka, again, another example is, say that the local requirement for rice per month will say 10,000 metric tons as an example, right? And from the harvest, if they are expecting, they were expecting 12 metric tons, but due to various climatic issues, they are expecting roughly about, say 30 metric tons for 4 months. So there's a shortfall of about 10 metric tons for the 4th month. Then to import this 10 or 12 metric tons, they might allow some of the people to import on quota basis to bridge the gap. Did you get that point? This is how it works. Right? So, depending on the supply, that could vary. Then tariff rate quota, a lower tariff is applied after a certain quantum of imports. Again, another example is, okay, up to 10,000 metric tons, you can say that no import duty will be applied. But if it is more than 10,000, 120% import duty will be applied. So then you know, by applying 120%, you can't sell rice in Sri Lanka. So people will import only up to 10,000 or 12,000 metric tons. Right? So this is how they indirectly block the importation of unwanted quantities or unwanted goods to country, right, to the country. Example, even South Korea has imposed tariff rate up to 1 million ton of rice, on which now even when Hyundai, Kia, LG, Samsung were struggling in late 80s to improve their quality and got into the global market, Korean government imposed import duty for similar products flowing into the country and gave the technical assistance, support, financial assistance, everything for those companies to improve their quality and to be competitive in the global market. As a result, you can see today LG, Samsung, Kia, Hyundai, K&M, Kumagai, all these companies are competing in the global market nicely after about 10-15 years. Classic real-life examples how protectionism policies can be nicely, effectively implemented, not only to improve the global competitiveness, but also to guide those companies strategically and from the economic perspective within the country. Right? That's why I say strategic intervention is a must.
It's has to be higher, right? Tariff rate quota.
Up to 1 million,
No, in the percentage.
a lower tariff is applied after a certain quantum of imports. Yes, sorry. Yes. Right? 80% is charged. And other one is VR, voluntary export restraint. Now sometimes when we export to another country, that country is importing. Do you agree? When we export, say we export tea to India, India is importing our tea, right? So as an example, now this is done voluntarily, right? It's like this. As an example, I'll tell you, we export our tea to India because our tea is the best in the world. But India is also producing tea. So with regard to tea, Sri Lanka has the advantage, and Sri Lanka's balance of payment over India over tea is in favor of Sri Lanka. So when our foreign minister or minister of trade visits India, while having a chat on some other things, they might say that, hey, you guys are exporting a lot, so much of tea to India. Right? Our suppliers and our producers, local producers are grumbling. Even they had a massive protest day before. Can you just reduce your exports to India? So if we go there requesting another credit line or whatever, we might say, okay, we will reduce that by 20%. Did you get the point? Because sometimes when you deal with big players, big brothers, you are compelled to listen to these things and act accordingly. Very tricky international business. That's why all these people who are involved in trade and even like ruling the country should have this level of knowledge. Right? So again, Japanese vehicles, they were exporting, like, in Japan, each producer, when they introduced this automation, each producer started to produce roughly about 1.3 to 1.6 million cars per year. Toyota, Nissan, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Honda and Isuzu. Isuzu is now very low. But so 1.3 means roughly about almost 10 million cars per year. So Japanese thought that without reaching the global market, they will not have even enough space to park those vehicles. In 3 years' time, they will have 30 million vehicles. Did you get the point? So government came up with a strategy. I told you that Japan is controlled mainly by Mitsubishi family and few other families. They only advise. So they went and had so many discussions, series of discussions, and they said, okay, government said, okay, we will come up with a strategy to capture the global market. What they did was very tricky. Some have different views, but what they did was, they said, produce cars with 110% quality. First they said, you have to improve the cars that are being produced to the Japanese market, that means the local market. Right? So they increased the quality tremendously. As an example, that's why, I don't know whether you all know this, Sylphy has a better price in the market, Nissan Sylphy, compared to N16, N17 model. Because Sylphy was produced to the Japanese local market, N17 was produced specifically for the Singaporean taxi service. So that's how they improved or inculcated the quality into the Japanese culture. Even before that they were doing that, I'm just quoting an example. And then they said, okay, you export all your cars to other countries, keeping cost of production plus tiny profit margin. We'll say 10%. Right? And as a result, Japanese cars became popular. From that side, General Motors, Ford and Hummer and Chrysler, they continued to produce SUVs and large cars, right, drinking fuel so much. When the fuel prices were going up in the market, Japanese people produced 110% quality cars, family cars, right, economical cars to the world. As a result, and very low cost of production plus 10%. As a result, they captured the world market within no time. And even now, Honda is the most popular car in America. Right? Now see the strategies. And then, Japanese producers were telling that 10% market is not enough. Markup. Then government came up with a strategy, okay, now sell your spare parts, because when you have a car, if you meet with an accident or whatever, you have to buy spare parts. Sell your strategy, sell your spare parts, keeping cost of production plus 50%. See the strategy? Did you get the point? This is where government intervention is a must. Same thing was happening in Korea. Superb, meticulously planned strategies. And then Americans saw so much, and they said that American market was flooding with Japanese cars. Then they put a voluntary export restraint. We are saying that, having negotiated with Japan, you guys can export only 1.68 million, whatever the brand, to America per annum. More than that, no. Did you get the point? So this is how you should use your tactics and techniques, tricks of the trade, to capture the world market with regard to international business using certain protectionism policies.
Doctor, now in this case, like without requesting Japan to limit the number of cars exported, so can you, shouldn't US have
imposed import duty?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But at the same time, then I'll tell you, this is the first step. They just make a kind request. Is it possible? If not, even Japanese would have known that, okay, otherwise they will impose import duty.
Then they started planting.
Yes. Even same thing happened for Hero Honda. I'll come to that when we do entry modes. Sometimes even, I don't know, I personally feel if we impose 1000% duty for Toyota and whatever, there's a strong possibility that Japanese will come and form a joint venture in Sri Lanka and start producing Japanese, and then they will send everything to Asian countries from Sri Lanka. Only thing, we'll have to import steel, that's all. You can use some of, now when Suzuki was exporting their cars, right, to India. Maruti company was producing cars, low cost, but terrible quality cars, very poor quality cars in India. So most of the Indians were buying Suzuki cars because technically sound, right, economical and nice designs and all that. So then Maruti company went and made certain presentations to the government and said, you are destroying our local industry. Then purposely Indian government imposed some import duty. As a result, Suzuki prices went up. They went and formed a joint venture with Maruti, which is known as Suzuki Maruti. Now you can see they have captured the entire South Asian market. Alto, everything there, and you can see the level of quality that has improved due to this joint venture, technical assistance and the local culture. These are real life examples. Did you get the point? So, all right. So sometimes if you even, I personally feel in Sri Lanka, people will not agree, but I feel that further import duty should be increased in Sri Lanka because even finance companies are just giving leases without any assessment and people are buying, and as a result so many issues are there with regard to foreign exchange and all, and also traffic jam. And more we import vehicles, more we have to import fuel as well. So that further erodes the already constrained foreign exchange reserves in Sri Lanka. Did you get the point? And I know one finance company, they issue more than 3,000 three-wheelers per month. Just giving leases. Lease. So very soon we will not have enough time or say space even to drive. This has to be stopped from the strategic, but government is doing it nicely, tactfully. As I told you, 1.4 million three-wheeler population, so they can't afford to lose that for an election. So they are slowly imposing now, if you are less than 25, you can't drive a three-wheeler. And they have slowly curtailed some of the, say, importation of three-wheelers. And they are trying to divert that segment for vocational training. So and very soon I'm pretty sure, in about 3 years' time, they will introduce some nano taxi or whatever for three-wheelers with another license. So then in the process, when they try to take license, they will not get through.
I think it's to do with the maybe number of cars also, maybe vehicles also, maybe whatever probably push to take this decision. Other thing is like, there's no labor in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and
you cannot find labor.
No,
and everybody is in three-wheelers.
True, three-wheelers, and also, they have a different culture. They don't know how to talk. They never follow road ethics.
And they are arrogant.
And they only transport drugs and prostitutes and
Correct.
rogues and all that. And every junction, now you all know, you can't park a vehicle in a junction, there should be a yellow line. Every junction, now sometimes in Sri Lanka roads are very narrow. So here also they have parked three-wheelers, here also they have parked three-wheelers. And no space even to take your vehicle.
Even we don't have a place to park.
Yes,
They
and
said
you
that,
can't park
this
it
is
straight
training
away
park.
or raw filth or whatever, and various things. Personally I feel this three-wheeler culture has become a worse menace compared to dengue. Dengue is much better, controllable. 1.4 million, and it's ever increasing. And also from the other side, as you correctly said, they have found through research that the spend that they just idling without a hire is about 60 to 70% than running the three-wheeler on a hire. They just read the Lankadeepa from this corner to the other and chatting and doing it. So totally unproductive. Totally unproductive. And finance companies also don't take any action. They think if it is financing, leasing and bonding, that's all. In Sri Lanka. So major issues. So again with regard to protectionism.
And also, do you think if the government imposed duty for let's say 1000% or whatever for Japanese cars, that any car producer will be obliged to come to Sri Lanka and open up a factory?
So you have to create that conducive. You have to create that conducive atmosphere. That's why I told you that, right? If you want to open a fixed deposit, you go on shopping, looking for a particular bank where they pay good interest, where they maintain secrecy, where you can get the capital and the interest at the end of the period, history of this thing, right, conducive atmosphere. You have to create that atmosphere. There is no point. Very tricky. That's why-
Market-wise, if you see, it's a very smaller market and it's not a really lucrative
No,
market
no,
for
you
somebody
should
to come.
invite them to produce here and export. Then that is good for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, but in exporting also, if you see, exporting to India probably will be out of
Not India.
question.
There are
We'll
so
have to
many
talk,
other
we'll
countries.
talk about probably Bangladesh, Pakistan and all the
And
other.
even to the Western world to certain, because their labor cost is very high.
But if it is a good brand, of course they can export.
India
to
also
countries.
possible, but India, you can't,
India, they
has
have
their
also
own
a problem.
steel.
Yeah, they have also.
So better to go there, but if we are going to start them, we have to definitely import steel. Still we can import steel at cost without duty, especially for that particular company, that can be done. But still companies will prefer to go to India unless some special arrangement or due to personal relationships or whatever. If they
Even the way I think, even a company agrees to come to Sri Lanka, probably India might say, you come and open up there because I don't want to disturb my market there.
Yeah, so-
Because it's full of Indian cars.
Population is there, India is such a big market.
Yes, yes.
And most of the factories are there already, Toyota is there. And
Nissan is
their own Nissan is
Nissan
there.
is there, that's the thing. So you have to think some other strategy.
Honda is there.
And also three-wheelers have been introduced, I don't know, personally I feel, even another person told me, as a self-employment scheme. And for a person to go here and there at a low cost. But this is considered as the fastest way of going now, right, due to traffic jams and all. And they don't think that they are like into self-employment. And some people, you don't be, because you all are here, you don't know. But some people even like, they think that they are driving a BMW. I'm not trying to underestimate, but that's the culture. It's so pathetic. So personally, I feel that three-wheelers should be slowly eliminated stage by stage and provide them with taxi or nano taxis or whatever. So then they'll be happy, and they also psychologically they'll think that, okay, I'm driving a car now, and try to introduce a new driving license for them to anyway enhance that. So then they will get used to road ethics and road rules and other things, and everything will be in order. But it will take, and if possible, if we can re-export these three-wheelers back to India, now this is what they have to think. And only for the difference, if we can import nano taxis, then we'll have to pay a smaller amount, where we can save lots of foreign exchange and get rid of these. What do you think?
I think we need to introduce Uber also.
Uber, yes. Uber is very popular in Singapore.
It's already, Pygmy is there.
Yeah. But Pygmy was popular, but recently they had certain issues. That they had given certain lifts to girls and ladies, and they were taken to some unwanted places, and Pygmy is very unpopular now. It was popular now. During the last 3 months or so, they had this issue.
Okay.
But Uber is okay.
Uber is pretty.
And all that. Okay, shall we do this tomorrow? Because there is another section and we need a bit of now your absorption, obviously. I hope you all are gaining, learning. Sure. Right? How do you feel now compared to yesterday beginning and now? Much better, yes. So by tomorrow this time, that's why I told you, don't worry that you would...
Still worry.
Okay, I'll give my mobile number and my email address. If there's anything, just let me know. Anyway, I'll be conducting some e-sessions also. I did do using this M-learning. Just let me know your schedule or whatever. I'll contact Ranil. If it is a Friday, much better.
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, yes. 2 to 5 from Sri Lankan time.
2 to 5 will be quite simple. Because that will be prayer time here.
Prayer time.
Friday, yeah.
Then in the morning, 9 to 12.
Yeah, early morning must be.
9 to 12 Sri Lankan time.
Sri Lankan time. So that means here after 1:30.
That's about 7:30.
Ah, yeah, 7:30 to, is it too early?
That's fine.
So that at least we say
Okay. Can you get up in the morning holidays?
We are anyway getting.
Okay. So then I'll let you know, okay? 9 to 12 is okay, no? Friday? Because I have another lecture from 5 to 8. Okay, my number is 0773 148 313. 0773 148 313. And my email is Trevor, TREVOR @pim.sjp.ac.lk. We change our website. Yeah, that is to go with Japura and also to get our better ratings for ACSB and Webometrics and for research. So even if you have any other issue, don't hesitate to contact me. I can even from Rajasthan or whatever, right? So this is my email address, trevor@pim.sjp.ac.lk. And number is okay. Good night. See you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Good night.